Hey folks, this is John Peniel, the John Peniel Show. Another beautiful day on the South Hill. So I'm going to continue on with a talk that I began a couple days ago entitled "You Are What You Consume. You Are What You Eat." And I'm going to make this talk a little longer. It's not going to be really geared towards giving practical advice so much. It's more like it's going to be an inspirational talk to get you to just kind of think about things. So, are you happy? Are you truly happy with what's going on inside of you? And if you're not happy, then you deserve to be happy. You need to ask yourself why you're not happy. So, what is happiness? How do we attain it? Do we attain happiness by filling in that hole in the soul by eating more food or reading that book, that novel that will, you know, that the newest science fiction novel that will put us in space inside of our head, or the newest romantic novel that will fulfill some ache inside of our soul, or it's like, how do we attain it? I spent many years in my life trying to attain happiness by listening to music. I used to be a big time music junkie, and there's nothing wrong with music. Music is a blessing. And I used to read lots of books. I would try to find my happiness in reading a book or watching a movie or running. I used to be a big time runner. I used to run 5-6 miles a day to get that runner's high. That I think many of you know what that is. When you run, it releases these chemicals inside of your brain, these endorphins, and you get the natural runner's high. So I became a runner junkie way back 30 years ago. And all of these things are good. There's nothing wrong with them, but we find that after engaging in these things fanatically, that the initial thrill that we had when we first started looking in, you remember the first time you read a book, right? You remember the thrill? Well, do you have that same thrill now that you've read your 100th book, or your thousand, however many books you read? It's not the same, is it? The initial thrill is always the strongest, the most potent. And as time goes on, that thrill kind of dies down. And that's with everything. And so we got to ask ourselves, why is that happening? What's going on there? Well, I would suggest strongly that what's going on is that as time goes on, and when you're doing the things that give you joy, or you think gives you joy, and as it and you're finding out that it's dying out on you, it's not producing that same visceral thrill. You got to ask yourself, why is that happening? And it's happening because you are chasing after something that is a shadow. So when you're younger, when you're a kid, and you're reading a book, the thrill of the story is much more stronger when you're a kid. Isn't that interesting? That's why it's so important to have a childlike mentality about things. Children, they live in the present. And I've said that in other talks, where their joy is in the present. They don't really obsess about the future. They're not chasing joy. They're not chasing happiness. They just let happiness come. Happiness just naturally comes to the kid because he or she's always in the present moment. And the kid, is connected. He's got a very deep connection to a hidden world which somehow gets cut off from us as we get older. That hidden world is what we really want to get in connection with. The books, the movies, food, sex, running, exercise, whatever that, the things that you do to entertain yourself to make you happy. These things are just portals. They're just windows. In other words, they're not the thing in it. They're not the end to itself. They're deep down inside that that your happiness is not inside of a book or inside of a movie or that chocolate truffle that you want to stuff inside of your mouth or whatever. It's these things are just they're just physical inanimate objects which gives us these sensations inside of ourselves, but these sensations lead to something that's higher than what's than the things that we're using, like this book, the Zohar, the Kabbalah. This is the Kabbalah. I read this for spiritual nourishment, but I got to be real careful not to make an idol out of this or any book, because I tend to like books. I toned down on that over the years, but anything that you try to get your joy, happiness out of, if you're going at it with the idea of, well, this will make me happy, then paradoxically, it's not going to make you as happy as it did before. And there's a reason why that happens. Because these things haven't always been around. These things are created. Everything that you see, it was made, this was made out of a tree. The tree was made by an invisible reality. That's what we want to get in touch with. The invisible reality. The invisible reality that manifested this. These are just portals. So you want to use these things, but you don't want to abuse them. If you abuse them, then they become idols. They're not as interesting. They don't give you that joy like they used to. And you don't want to come to these things like, well, this will give me joy. You want to read a book or eat some food or whatever, or watch a movie, whatever it is that you engage in for entertainment. But the idea of connecting to a higher invisible reality. So that's what it's really all about. So that I titled this show "You Are What You Eat." So we eat by various ways. We eat books through the eyes. We eat movies through the eyes. We eat music through the ears. We eat food through the mouth. And you got to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I engaging in this? Why is this all there is to it? Eating more food? Because that food isn't going to help you any when you're in the last moments of your life in a hospital or in your bed at home, or a book isn't going to help you. You want to be connected to that higher reality. Yes, and I mean God. There are various names we can call this hidden reality. You can call it source, which is really a great way of calling God. That's probably even better way of calling God than saying God. Source, source, it's the source of everything. Don't you want to go to the source? Doesn't it make more sense to go to the source of all these things which supposedly give us joy, supposedly give us happiness? But these things, you got to remember, these are just portals. Food is a portal. Food is meant to be enjoyed, but if you get stuck in the enjoyment for the enjoyment's sake, then paradoxically it becomes less enjoyable, doesn't it? Isn't that funny how that works out? That's should be a red flag right there. That should be like, okay, how come I'm not enjoying this as much? That's pointing out that, well, God designed it in such a way so that that would happen, so that you would start looking towards ultimate reality, the hidden reality. So, there was a man who lived here 2,000 years ago who said, become like a little child and you'll enter the kingdom of heaven. Another way of putting it is, if you live in the present moment like a child, you'll be connected. You'll be living in that hidden reality. That hidden reality will be connected to you. It'll be living in you. Look at the joy on the kid's face as they're running around. How do we recapture that? Well, we can recapture that by slowing down, for starters. We are in such a mad rush, aren't we? We got a lot of things on the agenda, but maybe if we just simplify the life a little bit. Take a deep breath and just cultivate a sense of wonder in your daily life. Take walks around, and take walks in nature or around the block, even if you're not close to anything that's like a park or anything, and make a conscious effort to enjoy the natural beauty that's around you just by living in the moment, and just not really obsessing about the future so much, not worrying about, well, how am I going to make myself happy, because you see kids don't do that. All right, folks. So I may do another talk on this as the spirit moves me. We'll see. I never plan out these talks. I didn't really have any idea what I was going to say. I just push the button and then I just go. So I hope this helps, folks. And I encourage you to put a like on my YouTube channel and subscribe and share it out so other people can hear this. I wish all of you a blessed and wonderful day. Shalom and namaste.